Alright, hello, welcome back. This is, we're back in Hitman. This is the, bonus level, titled, Landslide. We're back in Sapienza. This, for those of you who keep track of said things, this takes place about, 2 years before the main mission. And, ironically, although this has nothing to do with our video, we've been hired by, the target of the main mission in Sapienza to take out a corrupt politician down there. I'm not really going to do that. I'm just going to wander around, give you a tour of the location. Yep. So as you can see, Agent 47 has had a bit of a rough couple of days here. And, yep, let's wander around. Take a look at... They've got, you know, all kinds of stuff going on. It's a political rally for this really bad guy. Anyway, the topic for today we're going to talk about is standards. And I'm going to be using a very broad definition of the word standards. There are multiple definitions. In this case, it refers to any sort of rule, law, or guideline that is applied to people. And specifically, and not just the rules applied to, but how they're applied and implemented to people. The reason I'm making that distinction is that not all rules, even laws, are applied with the same sort of in the same way, I should say. So no, I don't want to track that opportunity. So, for example, if a police officer sees you jaywalking across the street, what they do, how they react to that, will often depend on the police officer and on the situation. If it's on a deserted road, odds are they're just going to ignore you or possibly just give you a quick warning. If it's on a busy highway where you're interrupting traffic, you're probably going to get a much sterner response. Possibly even a ticket written and having to pay some fines. So, yeah, like I said, that's why standards, how they're applied, are just as important as what they are. And the application varies. For the most part, this is seen in the world as kind of a negative thing. So, for example, if you're attractive, popular, or charismatic, ooh, look at that. It's very nice. It's a very dusky area here. Anyway, if you're attractive, popular, or charismatic, odds are the rules are not going to be applied as severely to you.
So, the other day at pottery class,
as,
I don't know what happened, but
if you violate these rules, they won't be applied as severely as they would be applied to someone who is less attractive, less popular, or less charismatic. And this is something, you know, you often see. The popular kid at school, the really popular guy at work, the, you know, really beautiful people, oftentimes... Oh, thank you. I'm glad he likes my really beat-up suit. Are often times exempt from a lot of the punishments and rules. Or people will make excuses for them like, oh, they didn't... Oh, he was young. Everybody makes mistakes. You know, it's just, you know, could happen to anybody, whereas... You know, somebody less attractive or less charismatic, they would say, oh, no, you cannot do that. These are the rules. These are applied. And, yeah, that's how life tends to work out in that sort of regard. You know, I have no idea why there are guards just standing there. I'm just saying. So, yeah, it's viewed oftentimes in this negative connotation of standards. So that, you know, those sort of people are held to a much lower standard. Lower in the fact that less punishment is applied to them than would be the less attractive people are held to higher standards, whereas they get into a lot more trouble for the same infraction. And generally it's viewed as a very negative thing with negative connotations. However, there's a different interpretation of that, a much more positive one. So generally, when you have a higher standard applied to someone, that means they have more responsibility. It has been given to them, at least when this is done correctly. So, for example, a manager in a store would be held more accountable for the store's losses or gains than would be a menial regular employee. Of course, that presupposes, a fairness in the system, and that doesn't always play out. So there are fireworks over there, but I'm not going to set them off. So like I said, it doesn't always play out, this idea of it, but when it's applied correctly, yeah, you've got more responsibility, and that's actually better for a person with a higher standard when they're held to higher standards. I've gonna partially relate an example that I've seen applied in my own life, with a teacher who would had a misbehaving student, and what she did was, and the normal punishments that were being applied did not apply to her. Oh, and for the record, I don't like the use. I like the English language. I don't like it when people misuse it. So when teachers and so on use discipline instead of the word punishment, that's a misuse of the English language, and which I do not care for or like. The correct word, punishment, is an appropriate, correct terminology, as opposed to using discipline, which parts of discipline include rewards as well as punishment, so I don't like that. Anyway, I don't like to get off on tangents like that, so sorry about that. But yes, when this teacher applied the normal punishments to the child, they had no effect on the child. The child took the punishment and kept misbehaving, and finally came up with an idea, whereas she gave the child something the child wanted. In this case, it was to go, play in a certain area with a friend. And then when the child got back, the teacher sat down with her and asked, "Did you have fun? Did you have a good time? Did you enjoy that?" And when she got positive responses, then she said, "Okay, now these are the rules. You are now going to be held to a higher standard," which basically means instead of getting the warnings like you normally do, you will basically get an immediate 2-minute timeout when you do any sort of punishment. And from what I understand, the child misbehaved once, got an immediate punishment, and the person who had misbehaved with her got a warning, and she got a punishment. And after that, no problems from her for the rest of the day, and the start of that led to this child, these higher expectations led to the child becoming much better behaved within the class. And what she was doing was known generally as game theory, and it's considered to be the basis of all good negotiations. Ooh, that sounds disgusting. So yeah, so by holding the child to a higher standard in that way, she got the child to behave in a better manner. And it was a learning experience for the child, and generally, when you do these higher expectations of people, higher standards, holding them to higher standards, then in a correct way, then they will learn, they will be able to apply it and do it in their regular lives. Now, what you're probably all wondering is, what does this have to do with Hitman? Well, Hitman is an interesting example of him being held to a higher standard. So, there are many things that Agent 47 can do that are really, truly exceptional. I mean, if you analyze and study them, first off, yes, you can be shot multiple times, and if he's not shot too many times, he will recover completely. Which is, yeah, I would love to have that ability, again, just shake off injuries like that. He can change clothes instantly. I actually had one gameplay where I was being tracked by some people. I knocked one out, and there was a big stanchion between me and the other guy. Another guy was literally right there, and I changed clothes quickly into the guy I just knocked out, and the guy lost me. He didn't realize that I had done that and could not find me. And my first immediate reaction was, I cannot believe that worked. But it's an amazing quick change. And not only that quick change, but every clothes he tries, when he knocks people out and takes their clothes, fits perfectly. And this is really, I would love to have all those abilities. I mean, sheesh. I mean, yeah, you can just take clothes right off of unconscious bodies, and yeah, no shopping, none of this trying things on. You just buy it and it fits perfectly. It'd be great. And finally, he has an exceptional skill with weapons. He can, for those of you who have ever thrown knives, it's not an easy thing to do, but he can throw a screwdriver like a knife, which is, wow, amazing. The screwdriver is completely misbalanced. But also, one of the things that really strikes me is his ability with a sniper's rifle. I mean, he can stand with sniper's rifle and using absolutely no support, you know, make a long-range shot. Now, it's not within miles, but it is long range enough to just be able to look at and say, that is an incredible ability. If you've never shot a rifle with a scope on it before, trust me, it is really, truly incredible. So he has all these talents and abilities. But an interesting thing about it is the game actually holds him to a higher standard. So I'm going to demonstrate that standard right now. So this is normal church. Now, I'm a bit scruffy. Now, usually what would happen if I hang out in church as a scruffy person, you know, I might be asked to leave. I might, you know, I might be approached with concern. I might be asked to leave. I might be, you know, there's a very good chance that I would be, you know, a police officer would come and escort me out because I'm not in any fit state to be there. Maybe escorted to some place where I could get help for whatever. But if I come in wearing a suit, I'm probably going to be ignored by most people. But interesting thing about this is, okay, I'm not supposed to play the organ. So if I come in, if I was dressed perfectly and played the organ, you know, that would basically play out that way. I'd be asked to leave, I'd be asked to stop, and eventually a police officer might be called to escort me away, and I could be banned completely for doing that. So, I'm going to keep playing this. Haven't attracted attention yet, so I'm hoping to get some. There's not enough people around to look at me doing this naughty thing. Okay, wait.
Who are you, man?
So I'm suspicious. Crime notice. Now, that's not technically a crime. So he's going to get crime. They're suspicious of me just for playing a piano.
What's your age, man? What are you, 46, 48?
That's actually pretty funny. The guy asked me if I was 46 or 48 and I should act my age. So I'm being hunted for playing that. They're arresting me for doing that. There's a guy pointing a gun at me right now for playing a piano. What? Playing an organ. So what am I doing wrong? So yeah, it's annoying, but it's not actually a crime to play an organ. So, still playing it, and now, so my punishment for playing the organ, I'm rebelling against these guys. I want to play the darn organ. So, is that they're attacking me, they're shooting at me. So, like I said, he's being held to a higher standard. Basically, any drawing of attention is punishable by death in this game. And that's really kind of the whole point of that. He's held to a higher standard. He has all these advantages, but the standard is, if you attract attention in the wrong way, you will be killed. And I've been killed for some very bizarre things, playing the organ among them. That's not a killable offense in most places, but here it is because, yeah, I'm being held to this higher standard, and that's a good thing. It makes the gameplay a lot more challenging for video games. Anyway, that's a little talk on standards and how they are applied and how they work. I hope you like this video. Like and subscribe if you liked it. And like and subscribe even if you didn't like it, but I'm sure you liked it, so like and subscribe. And, yep, I will see you in the next video. Bye.